So in regards to these early enrollees, 11 for Ohio State, that's pretty significant number compared to other teams across the nation. You got a chance to talk to many of them last week. What stood out to you?
Well, not only do they have early enrollees, freshman early enrollees, but they have a couple of transfers in as well. So you got a nice little blend of some guys with experience and then some guys that are getting their first taste of college football. So it's interesting, I think, over at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center right now. But in terms of what stood out, the first guy that comes to mind is quarterback Devin Brown. Comes to Ohio State from Utah, committed kind of late in the class or late in the cycle, but Ohio State went and got him. He was a guy who it sort of looked like was going to be a replacement for Quinn Ewers. I believe he committed right before Quinn Ewers. I ended up leaving, and by replacement, I mean in that 2022 class, Quinn Ewers obviously reclassified. But he said, he would have committed regardless of Quinn Ewers being at Ohio State. He wanted to come in to compete with anyone. I was just really impressed with the way he handled himself. When you're talking to any of these guys, you like to see confidence. You like to see guys that are already comfortable, and a lot of them are sitting in front of the media. They do that in high school a lot now, but especially the quarterback position. Those are the guys that are going to have to be the leader. They're going to have to, assuming they end up being a starter at Ohio State, they're going to have to be in front of the cameras a lot. So seeing a guy who has only been on campus about a month come in and already show that confidence. He seems like a guy who will be a leader on the field, talent-wise. 4-star prospect, highly regarded. I think he will be able to prove that no problem. But I was really impressed with some of the stuff he said. He knows what he's walking into, but he also knows that he's got ability. And Ryan Day obviously has shown a great ability to develop these quarterbacks. So excited about that. CJ Hicks, another highly regarded guy, the linebacker. He was a bit more quiet, I would say, when we talked to him. Still answered questions really well, but he was kind of the leader of this class. Committed early from Ohio, and really worked to help Ohio State land guys. He talked about that, and he said he doesn't consider himself that leader. He just felt because he was a guy who committed early, he had a responsibility to kind of help encourage other guys, talk to other guys, things like that. And I think it's interesting that role has kind of developed with the ease that these guys can all communicate. There seems to be one of those guys, if not multiple, in every class, and I'm sure this is true at other programs as well. But they come in, they either not always commit early, but get involved in the process and are really kind of the guy who is talking to any and everybody that Ohio State is seriously interested in. CJ Hicks, who's a guy who I imagine will be on the field, maybe not a starter his freshman year, but certainly early in his career. He's the highest rated guy in Ohio State's class, and a position of need at linebacker where there's really no true starters coming back. So those are the two that really stood out from the freshmen that I talked to. Now we're kind of, they bring multiple guys out at once, so we're kind of bopping around. So some of my coworkers talked to some of the guys that I didn't make it to,